Introduction. Students, look at the ball. You must have played with it. Can anyone tell me what the shape of it has? Yes, it is circular in shape. No, it is spherical in shape. Okay, you must have ate softy. What is the shape it has? Yes, it is conical in shape. Very good. Today we will learn more about shapes. Come, let's see. Objectives. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to identify the various solid shapes, count the edges, vertices, and faces of solid shapes, build 3D solid shapes from their nets, draw solids on flat surface, view different sections of a solid, faces, edges, and vertices. Hey students, look at me what I got for you. A cube. A cube is a special kind of cuboid whose length, breadth, and height are equal. A vertex or vertices is a point where two or more straight lines meet. An edge is a line segment that joins two vertices. A face is any of the plane or curved surface of a solid object. Nets for building 3D shapes. Now we see how a cube is formed. A net is a sort of layout in 2D which, when folded, results in a 3D shape. Here we show you how a cuboid is formed from its net. Now you can see a cube with its net. Now we see how a pyramid is formed. Here we show you how a pyramid is formed from its net. Now we see how a cone is formed. Here we show you how a cone is formed from its net. Now we see how a cylinder is formed. Here we show you how a cylinder is formed from its net. Self-assessment. Match the following shapes to their respective nets. Drawing solids on a flat surface. Let's learn about oblique sketches. An oblique sketch involves a combination of an orthographic, flat front with depths line receding at an angle, usually 45 degrees. Let's draw an oblique sketch of cube. To draw an oblique projection, follow three main rules. 1. Draw the front or side view of the object. 2. All measurements drawn backwards are half the original measurement. 3. 45 degrees is the angle for all lines drawn backwards. Let's learn about isometric sketches. Isometric sheet divides the paper into small equilateral triangles. Isometric drawings are 3D drawings. All the vertical lines are drawn vertically, but all horizontal lines are drawn at 30 degrees to the baseline. Isometric is an easy method of drawing 3D images. Let's draw an isometric sketch of cube. Mark the front corner of the solid as A. Draw 3 units down, 3 units to the left, and 3 units to the right. Then, draw 3 units left from this last point. Draw a square for the top of the solid. Draw segments 3 units down from each vertex for the vertical edges. Connect the appropriate vertices using dashed lines for the hidden edges. Viewing different sections of a solid by slicing or cutting. Now we are going to play slicing game. We have a piece of butter which is cuboid in shape. Here we slice the piece of butter. Each face of the piece is nearly rectangle in shape, and this face is called as cross-section of the butter piece. So, students, do you like the game? We have much more to go. You must visit in the kitchen, and there many a times you have seen vegetable cutting. So after cutting the vegetables, they take different shapes. A shadow play. We have another game to play that we called shadow play. It is another method to view three-dimensional objects into 2 dimensions. Let us see some of the objects through this method. Now we cast a shadow of cylinder. Now we cast a shadow of pyramid. There can be multiple answers because of different arrangements. A third way is by looking at the objects from certain angles to get different views. We can look at the object by just standing in front of it and from the side and top as well. Let us see some of the objects through this method. Self-assessment. Drag and drop the options to their right places. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. A vertex or vertices is a point where two or more straight lines meet. An edge is a line segment that joins two vertices. A face is any of the plane or curved surface of a solid object. A net is a sort of skeleton outline in 2D, which, when folded, results in a 3D shape. To draw an oblique projection, follow three main rules. 1. Draw the front or side view of the object. 2. All measurements drawn backwards are half the original measurement. 3. 45 degrees is the angle for all lines drawn backwards. Isometric sheet divides the paper into small, equilateral triangles. Shadow play is a method to view three-dimensional objects into two dimensions.
In our daily life, we see many objects around us which have different shapes. For example, book, copy, pencil, duster, chalk, etc. They are of different shapes, but one thing which is common about most of these objects is that they all have some length, breadth, and height or thickness. Since all those objects occupy space and have three dimensions, that is length, breadth, and height or thickness, so they are called three-dimensional shapes of solids. In this chapter, we will study the following concepts: polyhedrons, nets for solid figures.
Net of cube. This is a cube. A cube has square faces. Let us unfold this cube. This is net of cube.
Cuboid. We know that a cuboid has 6 rectangular surfaces, faces. The opposite faces are of the same measure, so the net for a cuboid is as below.
Cylinder. It is a solid with two parallel circular bases. If the middle section of the cylinder is unwrapped and laid flat, it is a rectangle. A cylinder has no vertex. It has two circular faces and one curved face.
Cone. We know that a cone has a circular base and single vertex above the base and slant surface. So, we have the following net for a cone. Triangular pyramid. We know that triangular pyramid has a triangular base and triangles on the three faces. So, we have the following net for pyramid. A net can be made in more than one way. For example, nets for a cylinder are given below. Different nets for a cone are as shown below.
Drawing solids on a flat surface. A drawing sheet is a flat surface, but when we draw a solid shape on it, due to visual illusion, it appears to be a three-dimensional object. Here we learn techniques to understand this. Oblique sketches. The cube drawn here gives a complete idea how a cube looks like. In real, when we see a cube from front, we didn't see certain faces and length of all faces of a cube are equal, but here they are not equal. Still we can recognize it as a cube. This kind of sketches is called oblique sketches. To draw a oblique sketch of a cube of measure 4 by 4 by 4, take a squared paper. Now draw front face of a cube that is a square of side 4 units. Now draw the opposite face of same size and one step offset to the previous step. Join the corresponding corners. Now erase the hidden lines and redraw them by dotted lines.
Isometric drawing. There is a drawback in oblique drawing that we can't show actual measurements. To overcome this drawback, we use isometric drawings. It is drawn on an isometric dot sheet. Isometric dot sheet is a paper sheet which is made up of dots or lines forming an equilateral triangle. Firstly, draw a line segment AB of 5 units by joining 6 consecutive dots vertically. Next, we draw 2 parallel line segments AP and BQ, each of length 4 units, at point A and B on the same side of AB. Draw 2 parallel line segments AR and BS, each of length 3 units, at A and B on the other side of AB. Next, draw RT parallel and equal to AP, and then join PT and other matching corners, that is RS and PQ, to get the sketch of cuboid of dimension 5 into 4 into 3.
When we see a solid object from a view, some of its parts may be hidden from our view. For example, for the given arrangement of cubes, arrow shows the direction from where we will see it, then we will see only 4 cubes, as rest of are hidden from the view. We can estimate the number of cubes in it by visualizing. Let us take another example. Observe that there are 3 small cubes in each column and there are exactly 9 such columns. Therefore, total number of small cubes in the Rubik's cube is equal to number of columns into number of small cubes in one column. That is 9 into 3 equal to 27. Thus, it has 27 cubes. Example, 3 cubes of side 1 unit are placed side by side. What would be the dimensions of resulting cubes? Make a oblique sketch of this cube. Solution. Cubes are placed side by side. Height and breadth will remain same and length is the only measure that will change. Length will become 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 3 units. Viewing different sections of a solid. Slicing. Here is a loaf of bread. It is cuboidal in shape, having square face, but when we slice it with a knife, face of each piece is a square. This face is called cross-section of the loaf of bread. We may get different cross-section depending upon from where we cut it, but the resulting figure will always be a plane figure. In the following table, the cross-section of some solids are given when we cut them horizontally. Shadow play. Shadows are a good way to represent 3-dimensional solids in 2-dimensional. Let us take an example to see how it can be done. Take a torch and place it against the wall. Switch it on now. Take a matchbox which is cuboidal in shape and put it in between torch and wall. We can see that the shadow of matchbox is a rectangle which is a plane figure. Now put matchbox on the floor and place the torch next to it. We will get a long shadow. Now if we move torch in upward direction, the shadow is still a 2D figure but of smaller length, and it keep on decreasing until it just right above the matchbox. This is what happens with shadow of objects in relation to sun and time of observation.
Views of 3-dimensional figures. Here we will use 3-dimensional figures and learn how to see them from different views. This is a rectangular prism. First we identify the views. This is the front, this is the side, and this is the top view. Now we will pretend that we are looking from the front. The entire object hides behind the front, so we get a rectangle. This is the front view of the object. Similarly, entire figure hides behind the side view. When we look from the top, we can only see a square, which is the top view of the figure. Thus, front side and top view of the given figure are rectangles, as square is also a special type of rectangle. Now, we will take another figure. First, mark the views as shown in the animation. When we look at the front, we will see this figure. From the top, we will see these two, and we will also see the flat ends of the other two as well. So we will see this part and everything else is hidden behind this. and from the side we will see this part. Thus, these are the front, top and side views of this figure.